Hey friends, welcome back to llamamakayla's Yarn Tube. I'm Kayla, and I want to say thank you for stopping by for a visit today. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so excited that I'm able to be here. That's really exciting. And I'm just glad that we're able to visit. So I thought we would have a crochet and chat for a little while. And so if you want to go and grab a drink, go grab a project and get comfortable so we can crochet together and just chat it up. I wanted to update everyone on my finger because I know so many of you are praying for me and I appreciate that so very much. So pause the video, grab your drink, grab your project, get comfortable, and let's chat. So I did have a doctor's appointment today, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of history with me and my doctor. I've been with this doctor for like 20 years, okay? He knows me. He knows how I am about everything. Before I started seeing him, I was seeing all kinds of rheumatologists in my town all the way to Shreveport. I was seeing, different rheumatologists, and I just wasn't getting anywhere, getting any help, getting medications that were making any kind of difference in my life. Or even, I felt like I wasn't even believed. Like, you can't have that many issues. No doctor ever said that. But, well, one time, one nurse practitioner wrote down a whole list of all my symptoms. And I took it to that appointment, and that nurse practitioner was like, I don't even know what to do with this. No one has ever made a list of their symptoms. And I thought, well, that's weird. Why wouldn't somebody do that? But anyway, I never went back to that office. But, I just never was getting, I gotta tie my yarn in because it had a little, I don't know, just a little piece where it was coming unraveled. And so, I didn't go back to that doctor. I forgot what I was saying. Forgive me. But anyway, and I was seeing different doctors. Now, I did have a family doctor that we all saw. My kids and my husband, we all saw the same doctor. And, he was just a family doctor. He was like referring me to different rheumatologist because he knew, something ain't right with you, girl. and it was out of, not in his practice. I needed to see someone, that had, went to school for that or whatever. And so, and I'd go back to him and say, no. And he would refer me to someone else. Okay, so at one point, I started seeing this doctor, and I'll just Dr. R. Although he's passed away now, but he was an older doctor, and I started seeing him out in his clinic. But he also worked at the teaching hospital here in town, and so I was seeing him at the clinic, and so he told me that if I would come and see him at the clinic on a Friday, that's when he had did clinic there. He said I'd be able to run more tests, and maybe we could find out more. So that's what I started doing. I started going out to the teaching hospital to see him, and then one day at my appointment, he said. He said, you're out of my league and you're going to have to find a new doctor because, he just didn't know what to do with me. And I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. So I told my friend who was a nurse there what the doctor had said. And he was like, really? He said that? He said you was out of his league, find a new doctor? And I was like, yeah. And so he said, okay, do you mind if I talk with Dr. C about you and see if he's willing to see you? And I was like, yeah, please do. So he did talk to this doctor, who is my doctor now, and he, said, yeah, he would see me. So I went and saw him. And, y'all, I had a whole list of symptoms. I had a lot going on, okay? And so at my first appointment, I mean, my doctor was like sitting there looking scared. I mean, oh, the look on his face was just like, I should have said no. But anyway, he sent me to the labs to get all kinds of tests run to make sure I wasn't on drugs and all this stuff. I mean, my husband works at a drug rehab, and so I knew what all these tests were testing for. And it was just funny. But I guess he had to rule everything out, right? I had a lot of skin issues where I itched constantly. And that is, you know, a sign of some drugs. And so, of course, all that came back negative because I've never taken any drugs that weren't prescribed to me. And then most of the time I didn't take those. But anyway, so we've been together for many, many years. Just saying all that to say that we've been together, okay? He knows me. We pick with each other. He knows that I say shocking things sometimes. And so sometimes he tries to beat me to it. And so, you know, we just have a good relationship. One time he had started me on cyclosporin, which is immune suppressant. And this is like months and months after just clawing my skin up, itching for no reason, no known reason why I was itching. He finally decided, okay, well, let's lower your immune system and just see what happens. And so he put me on this cyclosporin. It worked like a charm. When I went back the next visit, I guess I had told the nurse, you know, that I was like 100% better than I was the last time I was there. And so when he came into the room, he was like, is it true? And I was like, yes, I am doing so much better on that medication. And he had a student doctor with him, and she was a foreigner. Now, I'm not sure exactly what she was, but she did kind of speak a little bit broken English, but very, you know, very understandable and very, you know, she was a very educated lady, but she did speak a little bit broken English, you know, just the way she formed her sentences and stuff. And so he was like, well, that's great. That's awesome. He said, but and I had just turned 40 and I dyed my hair purple for my 40th birthday. And so he said, you know, that's great. That's awesome. You know, I'm so glad that helped you, but it turned your hair purple. And I said, well, that's just a side effect I'm going to have to live with because it did, you know, it helped in so much other ways. And the student doctor was just like, the medicine turned your hair purple? And he and I just laughed and went on with our conversation. She got her phone out and started Googling, I guess, the side effects. And so we had the appointment and everything. And then he said, just stay on that medication and all that. And she said, if you don't mind the purple hair. And I don't know if he ever told her any different. I hope that he did. But he and I just laughed about it. He knows that I say crazy things. And so he says crazy things to me. And that's just the way we are. Like one time I was getting blood work done in the lab, and my blood was like this. It was just flowing so slow that day. It was just like so slow. It was taking forever. And so the phlebotomist was like standing there, and finally she said, well, what happened to your fingers? You know, because people ask that all the time, and I don't mind. And so I said to her, it was her and one other phlebotomist in there. I said, I was kidnapped and they had to cut off 5 fingers before my husband would pay the ransom. And she was just like, you know, the other phlebotomist, which was a guy, he started laughing because he knew I was being ridiculous. And so anyway, and when Cavell got word of that, oh yeah, my doctor, he, was all about that. He tells everybody that. But that's just part of who I am and what I do, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, there's been times where he has come in the room and he's like, Miss Miller, Miss Miller, Miss Miller, I was having such a wonderful day. Until I got there. And there's been times where he's come in and told the student doctor that I was his problem child, and, because I don't do anything by the book. My illnesses and such are they're not by the book whatsoever. Whatever it says to do for whatever illness, that doesn't work for me. And so today, I went in and we talked and went over everything, and then he said, hang on a second. And he hollered out in the hallway to the nurse, and he asked where this Natalie was. I didn't know who Natalie was. He asked her, where's Natalie? And she said, oh, she's in with a patient. And he said, tell her to come here. And so the girl walked in, and just after a few minutes, and she was a student doctor. And so, remember, this is a teaching hospital. And trust me, I've taught them a lot, okay? I've taught this teaching hospital way more than they ever expected to learn. And so, Natalie comes in. She's a student doctor. And he says, Natalie, I want you to meet Miss Miller. She is the bane of my medical practice. I was just like, what? Oh my goodness, yeah. So we say ridiculous things to each other. He knows he can joke with me, and I know I can joke with him. So I don't take offense to what he said at all, because I'm a hard case. I know that. Anyway, so when I went in to see him, my finger was just completely blue. This was just blue as blue could be, and it, looked really bad, and it was so painful. And so we talked about when I went to, I was just trying to see if that focused any on that. We talked about when I went to Shreveport last week. He, pulled that up on the computer because they're all hooked in the same network, the computer system. So he pulled that up and was reading what he did and all that. And then he asked about the Botox, and I told him that I really thought that was the answer, that it looked better after that. It felt better after that. And, I was really hoping that was going to be the answer. And so I asked him, I said, and I read about Botox and Raynauds, and I read that it needed to be repeated, but I couldn't find anywhere where it said how often. And so he said, well, you want to try it again today? And I was like, yes, that's why I'm here, because we need to do something drastic. And so he called the pharmacy downstairs and talked with them, and got me some Botox ordered. Of course, insurance had to approve it, so we had to wait a while. And then he decided he was putting 12.5 units on each side of my finger, on this side and on this side. So I was just like, whatever, I'm willing to do whatever. So, in the meantime, he also ordered me an iron infusion. Of course, insurance has to approve it. And then it used to, like when I first started getting iron infusions, he could just call pharmacy and order it, and they would send it to his office. And I would take the iron infusion there in his office. And then after that, it got to where I had to go down to the ER to get iron infusion. And then after a while, I had to start going to oncology to their big infusion room and getting iron infusions. Insurance, you know, insurance changes everything. So, it has to be approved by insurance, and then plus oncology has to make the appointment for me to come in and get it done. So I didn't get it done today, but they'll probably schedule it, you know, in the next day or so. Anyway, so that's going to happen soon. And then he got the stuff for the Botox and got that in. Like I said, he put 12.5 units on each side of my finger. At that time, the finger was like just dark blue. He put that Botox in, and what the Botox does, from my understanding, it just relaxes everything in there. Like if it's constricted or whatever, it just relaxes all that so that the blood can flow and all that kind of stuff, right? What needs to be happening. And it wasn't just no time. He was still typing in the computer, and then he walked over and looked, and he said, "Is the color changing?" And I said, "Yes, it's getting lighter." I said, "And the pain is easing up too," because it was such a burning pain, just a throbbing, burning pain that's really hard to describe, but it was hurting so bad. And so it did, it looked better, and it was feeling better, and so he was quite pleased. I was quite happy. And so I'm hoping the bigger dose that he gave me, because when I was in Shreveport and I got 8 units on each side, which would have been 16 units in total. Well, my doctor decided, let's just put 12.5 on each side. So I got a much bigger dose. So I'm hoping that will last longer and give me more relief. And also, while it's got everything relaxed and open up in there, that blood can start flowing and, you know, good things will happen, right? So that is our hopes and prayers, and it's what we want to happen. But anyway, I do go back to Shreveport next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I do go back to Shreveport, and I'm seeing, the doctor that I'm seeing is having a rheumatology team there to see me. And he had ordered labs, and, you know, I have all these different diagnoses that are basically connective tissue disorder, disease, whatever you want to call it. And it lumps all these different things in together. But what he tested for and what my doctor was saying is that it's pointing more to that I have CREST. Capital C, capital R, capital E, capital S, capital T. You can look that up and read about it. It describes me to a T. So, you know, I don't know if I'm going to get diagnosed with that or not. We'll see what the rheumatology team says whenever I go back on Tuesday to see them. Hopefully, you know, they come up with some answers just to... but my doctor said that I'm really already on the same medications that I would be on for that. So it's not, like, not a lot would change. Just a diagnosis, and who knows? Who knows? So hopefully this Botox is going to help. I'll admit that I was freaking out a bit over the weekend and Monday because I don't know how well you can see, but an ulcer has started forming right here. And just from past experience, I do have 5 experiences with this. Once that ulcer forms, after that, gangrene sets in, and then, you know, have to see the orthopedic doctor to have it removed. So I was really freaking out Monday about my finger. I might not have let that be known, but I really was. So I just hope this Botox helps. I just hope that it does the trick. It allows, you know, the blood to flow in there, and that everything, you know, ends up good. So we're gonna see. Right now my finger is not as discolored. It looks, well, you can see this tip. That is the main part, and that part is hard. It is like it feels like a huge callus up here, but it's painful. But you can see that it looks a lot better. It's still a little discolored through there and across the top. My nail is white with blue under it, and then I have that ulcer there. But the pain is not quite as intense as it has been. It's still a bit painful, and my gosh, if I bump it, oh, the nerves are just so angry right now. So, and you can see I'm kind of crocheting like this. I'm not really touching the tip of my finger. I just have this part kind of wrapped around like that. And so that's how I'm able to crochet. It's a little bit awkward the way I am holding it. I don't have a good grip on my hook, so it's a little bit awkward, but I can do it, you know. I'm not gonna let it stop me. If it comes down to it and I do have to lose that finger, I'm still gonna crochet. I will figure out a way. If I have to strap this crochet hook to my hand, I mean, seriously, I was thinking about this. I wonder if there's a way that I could have a strap that goes on right here, like an elastic band or something, piece of elastic. It slips on here, goes across my hand, and slips on there. And maybe some way to tighten it. And that way, my hook would be in my hand, and I could use my thumb, because normally I use my thumb like this. See how I kind of hold my yarn? And especially when I'm like, if I do triple crochets, I definitely need to hold my yarn. But see how I'm doing? I use that thumb a lot up there. Do y'all use your thumb like that? So I was just wondering, is there a way that I could strap the hook to my hand, and would it be tight enough that it doesn't roll or anything like that? So and then I could still if my hook would be there and I could still use my thumb, it would be easier for me. But if I lose that pinky and I have to crochet like this, say, like pretend the pinky's gone, I can crochet, but I don't feel like I can't go as fast, and I don't feel like I have good control or good tension. And it's so slow. I might get bored with it because it's so slow. I can do it. But it's not fun. What do you think? I don't know. I'm going to try to pursue something about just rigging up a piece of elastic that could hold the hook tight to my hand. If it comes to that, you know, hopefully it does not. We don't want it to come to that. But, you know, you got to be prepared, okay? Got to be prepared. And so, as I lost all my other fingers, okay, first let me just say, I did not know how to crochet before, back when I had 10 fingers. I did not know how to crochet. I did not learn how to crochet until I lost all 5 fingers. Then I decided I wanted to play with yarn. Well, I was loom knitting. I started loom knitting at some point up in there. Probably after about 4 fingers, I started loom knitting, I think. Yeah. And then I lost another finger while I was loom knitting. But, I think as I was losing fingers, I would just try to adjust, like pretend that finger's gone and let's just carry on with life. And that's how I just was able to adapt so easily as I lost fingers. Anyway, so I don't want to lose that finger, but if I do, I will make do. I will figure it out, because I'm a figure it out kind of person, and that's what we'll do. But anyway, I did want to update you all. Thank you so much for praying for my finger. I know so many people are praying for my finger and wanted updates and was hoping I had a good doctor's appointment, and I did. I had a great doctor's appointment. You know, he did the botox, and it gave me great relief in the color and in the pain. It's still painful, but it's not as intense pain as it was. I mean, it hurt me so bad last night, the night before. It hurt me so bad, I just kept waking up in the middle of the night, and I'd get my light, and I'd look at it like, I expected it to just be like busted open. It's, you know, it hurt so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, what's it doing? And I look at it because it would just be so painful. Surely it's busted open or something. The nurse asked me, you know, like, how painful is that? And I was like, in the middle of the night, I could just chew my finger off to get rid of it. I mean, that's how bad it hurts. And she's like, ooh. But yeah, it hurts. And then also, you know, getting the iron infusion. I have been freezing cold. Like, I've been so cold that it is just painfully cold. And so I have my hand warmers here. They're about cold now. They're a little bit warmth still left in them. But I've had these on me all day in my pockets. And I've just kept my hands, you know, wrapped around these in my pockets to the point where I've nearly burned my legs. But that's what it takes for me. I've just been freezing cold. These are just about too cool. So when my son Elijah got home a little bit ago, I was just like, Elijah, I'm so cold that I'm hurting. And so he went and dug out a heater for me. You know, they were put away for the summer. But he got a heater out for me and brought it in here and plugged it up by my desk. I don't know if you can hear that running, but there is a little heater down here by my feet to warm me up. So he took the fan and put it away and left the little heater out for me. But anyway, guys, yeah, I just appreciate you all thinking of me, you know, worrying about my finger along with me, praying for my finger, and, you know, hoping for the best. It's not over yet, okay? But we're just going to keep working on it and keep praying. You know, and even though we're praying, I do want to say this, because if you're not a believer, if you don't have a relationship with our Lord, you may not realize, but just because we're praying, God doesn't always answer prayers the way we want him to, because he's not a genie in a bottle. You know what I'm saying? And we can't demand Jesus to do anything because he's not a genie. He doesn't grant wishes. And also, he sees the big picture of what's happening and what's going on. We only see this little snippet of today and what we're doing at the very moment. We can't see tomorrow, next year, 5 years down the line. Now, I always pray and I always tell the Lord to use me in any way you see fit. And He's done that. He's done that, and I'm okay with that. I know that my journey has it's touched people, and it has brought people, I don't know, I don't want to I hate the way this sounds, so I'm hesitant to even say it, but I just know that, God's used me, and I'm okay with that. And I did tell someone that if it meant someone being saved and having a relationship with Jesus, I would lose my finger. And they were like, no, we're not taking that. I don't want that. But if that's happens, it happens. But also, I would give my life for someone to be saved and have a relationship with Jesus. Okay? That's just the way I feel. And I don't mean to get preachy or anything like that, but I do want to say that I know a lot of people are praying, and we're all praying, but if I still lose my finger, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't lessen my faith in Jesus if I still lose my finger, even though we're praying. I still have faith. I still trust the Lord. I know He sees the big picture, and I just see today. Okay, I didn't mean to get preachy on this, but I did just want to say that if I end up losing this finger, don't let that be discouraging to anyone, because who knows what it might do in the future, right? That's hard to understand. But if I'm not mad at Jesus, then you shouldn't be either. Okay? Next week, I have my appointment in Shreveport, and unfortunately, it's the same day that I was going to the dentist, because with all these little diseases I have, it affects my mouth. My mouth is shrinking due to the scleroderma. My mouth is shrinking, and I have super dry mouth, which is very, very bad for your teeth, and my teeth have just been crumbling. So I do have some issues going on there, and I know you can see that, and I know it's pretty obvious that you've got some issues, girl. I know that. But it is what it is, and it's not anything I can do about it until I can get to the dentist, right? I can't stop what's happening. So I had an appointment with the dentist on Tuesday, and unfortunately, I'll be in Shreveport that day, so I won't get to see the dentist, and I'm going to have to reschedule that. And unfortunately, I'm having to use some of my dentist funds, because it did take me a little while to save up some money for this initial dentist, this first. I couldn't afford to do everything at one time with the dentist. That just wasn't going to work. Because it is so expensive. Like, oh my gosh, I should have married a dentist. My kids should have went to school to be a dentist. I don't know. Everything's expensive nowadays, but dentist work is very, very expensive. And so I, could not afford to do everything at one time. So I had to break this down to do the most important things first. And so we're going to work on my top first. And so I had to save up so I'd have money to start that process. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't planning to go to Shreveport, and just other things going on. And so I've had to use some of my dentist money that I'll replace. I just got to have some more time to save it up. So these little trips to Shreveport and all that kind of stuff, and doctor's appointments and all that. I mean, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. But I still got to pay my part. And I have big copays. Unfortunately, we still have very large copays. I forgot what I was saying. I was just saying, okay, so I'm not going to get to go to the dentist this week. I've got to reschedule that. And in the meantime, I got to replace the money that I'm spending going out of town and going to all these doctor's visits and such. Because every doctor's visit, you know, cost. Right. And so I'll get there. It's just going to take me a little more time. And in the meantime, things are probably going to get worse. I may end up having to wear a mask. I probably should be wearing one now. Oh gosh. I thank y'all. I thank you so much for just sitting here listening to me ramble about my finger. I know this video is cut off the top of my head. But I enjoy sitting here talking to you guys, and I wouldn't do it and give this much detail, but I know so many of you are praying for me, and you're, you know, genuinely want to know how my finger's doing. You all asked in my video yesterday, because I didn't really, you know, give any information or talk about my finger. I just said I had a doctor's appointment, and yeah, y'all are such loving people. And so I just wanted to give y'all an update of what's going on. And where to pray. You know, like how to pray for me. What I need prayer for. I need prayer that this botox does the trick. Just looking up at my security camera to see who was going down the road, because I'm nosy like that. I have a security camera here, and I can see all of our property, all the way around the house, and all of our property, which we have just a little over 3 acres, and I can see a little bit up the road to see who's coming in the daytime. I can see what vehicle's coming. I can see them as they pass our house, and I can see my mailbox and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, I can sit right here and I know exactly what's going on in my yard, and I don't have to go outside. So, guys, what project are you working on? While we chatted, what was you working on? I'm still working on this, isn't that looking pretty? Let me just show y'all. Let me get to this end right here and connect, and then I'll show y'all. And I am on my, I'm on my second skein of that Big Twist Living. I'm on the second skein of that, and it is just looking so good. It is. It's looking really pretty. And I haven't had the color control. There was some parts where maybe blue went on top of blue or yellow went on top of yellow, and I was fine with that. I just didn't want it to be like always that color on top of it. Like, I didn't want it to always be rust. You know, I didn't want it to end up in the same spot every time. But it's looking good. Let me get this last granny stitch done and join it here. Okay, so this is what we're working with, what we got going on here. Isn't that just beautiful? Like I said, see, that is orange on top of orange. But as long as the next section doesn't turn out orange, I'm okay. But I think this looks very beautiful around this red. This part here was looking very Mardi Gras. The yellow, green, and purple, green, and yellow was looking very Mardi Gras there for a little bit, which I'm okay. And then when it's just purple and yellow, it looks kind of LSU, which I'm not into football. but I think that is looking really good around that. I can't wait to get it all done. Let me see how many rows I've got on it so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 rounds. And I just recently started on the second. So who knows? If that does 6 rounds, it might be the same size as that koala blanket. Because I think I did 12 rounds around it. But we'll just see. I'll just keep going and we'll see what happens. But guys, I'm going to let you all go in because I'm just chatting your ear away. And this is a weird angle. Like, I'm not too excited about this angle. But it is what it is, right? I needed to stay in here where this heater is because it is warming up in here. And to the point where I might even be able to take this off. I wore this to the hospital. And even when I went out and got in the truck with Big Daddy, he went to work this morning. And then he left at lunch to come pick me up to take me to my appointment. Because I don't have a vehicle. And when he picked me up, I ran outside to get in the truck and I had this on. And he was like, why are you wearing that? I was like, I'm freezing. I am totally freezing. And he's got the air conditioning kicked up high and I'm closing vents. And I had my hand warmers and I'm just like, I was really, really cold. So maybe after I get the iron infusion, I have one scheduled for this week and I think they're going to schedule another one in about 2 weeks. They usually space it out a little bit. Maybe we'll get my iron pumped up because my iron saturation was like 5%. And then my hemoglobin and all that was like really low. So we don't know where I'm losing blood. Like, I don't absorb iron. And he put as my diagnosis chronic blood loss, but we don't know where. We don't know where I'm losing blood. And I just have too many more issues going on to stop focusing on those issues, to focus on that and get the testing and all that done. I mean, I'm eventually what have it done. When you got so many things going on with you, you have to prioritize and like, okay, this is what we need to focus on because this is what's bothering me the most. That's life. And I know some of you have lots of health issues also, and so you understand what I'm saying and what I'm going through. And I hate that you're experiencing, similar things, or that, you have a difficult chronic illness also. It's not fun. People who are healthy and don't have any medical issues, they do not understand. And it's not their fault. I don't fault anyone for not understanding. I'm thankful that you don't understand. I mean, I'm not saying you, but people who don't, have a clue, I'm thankful they don't have a clue. I'm thankful they don't deal with these issues. So it's okay that they don't understand. How could they? So anyway, guys, yeah, I'm just gonna work on this a little more. And then I have another project that I've made half of it, and I need to make the other half, and I think I'm going to record that for you guys. So, more video coming up soon. See y'all in the next video. Bye, friends. Love you guys.